I would like to welcome you to our Saturday night inspirational talk and prayer. Welcome to Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center. And we are so happy that you have decided to join us this evening. My name is Reverend Margaret Palagye, and I am the founding minister of Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center, which is located in Westmont, New Jersey. As I said before, so happy that you have joined with us. And just to let you know that this, besides being live, tonight we have a watch party tomorrow at 10 a.m. and we have a YouTube that will be going up and sent out to those who don't have social media. So just to let you know that our website, joyfulgathering.org, is where you can go to make your donations. We have Venmo, PayPal, and an address for Joyful Gathering. So send your donations, and we appreciate it greatly. So let's begin this evening's talk by taking that awesome, infinite, deep breath. So let's breathe in peace. Yes, and let's exhale that peace. Let's inhale love and exhale love. So we are surrounded in this bubble of peace and love as we move on to tonight's topic, which is living without fear. And just maybe I need to rename that talk, How to Live with Fear. We're going to delve into those kinds of fear feelings by accepting and working our way through this emotion that is affecting a lot more than ever. I mean, fear has always been around because our brains and our minds have always been around, and our thoughts, but it is affecting us on every level of our experiences right now. And so I want us to really deepen into understanding how we can move through this emotion that can cripple us. Because we have to remember one thing: what we resist persists. Now, you've heard that before, but it's true. So I'm going to refer to a book by Ernest Holmes called Living Without Fear. And although I love the title of this book, living without fear, I don't really think that it is possible not to really live without fear. And especially now when everything is coming up for us, everything is in our face. Our belief system, our subconscious, it's getting really riled up with everything that's going on. But I'm here to tell you that if we stay centered, in the peace and the love, we will not only get through this, we will grow and expand and be better human beings. That's what will happen. So what is fear really? Of course, the fear center in our brain is activated whenever we perceive that we are being threatened in any way. And without it, humankind would not have existed all of these years. We just wouldn't have. Fear kicks in, that fight or flight syndrome. But today, most of us don't need to run from that saber-toothed tiger, because that was in our DNA, that fight and flight reflex. But we are still hardwired for anxiety. So how do we deal with that? That's what we want to get into this evening. So here's the definition of fear, particularly appropriate for those who are in this spiritual growth and personal growth area, who really want to understand that we really have choice, that we really have the freedom to choose. We don't have to be stuck in that fear. Fear is our ego's response to bumping up against the edge of the unknown, what is not familiar. Once we bump up against that edge, we can go into terror. We can go into complete anxiety because the ego does not like to live in the unknown. But the thing is, we are always living in the unknown anyway, but we're the last to know that. Well, right now, it is so in our face, the unknown, that is triggering a lot of fear for a lot of people. Remember, fear comes from that protective part of the mind. It tells us that it will do anything to keep us from moving into unsafe territory or where we might fear that something is going to happen to us. The protective mind looks for all the reasons we shouldn't move or change our thinking. So this can lead us to be in a place of stagnation, of not moving at all, or making decisions that are completely in this marshmallow head, if you will, this place of confusion within our minds. Because we're leaving our comfort zone, folks. I think you know that. We are leaving our comfort zone. So as long as we are growing from all of these experiences, as long as we are looking for what can I do here, what can I learn here, then we evolve into the higher and higher ways of showing up as these spiritual beings having this very human experience. What will happen is that as we move through this emotion of fear, more of our inherent divine potential will show forth, and it allows us to deepen into the relationship with our own divinity, with that indwelling self that is within us, that many people who have not woken up to that fact, in my mind is a fact because of the faith I have, don't realize that we have choice, that we have this supportive divine being within us. It's who we truly are. We can also feel fear when the subconscious beliefs are triggered. Before a second has passed, we are in a place of that anxiety. But the question really isn't, can we live without fear? But rather, are we going to let fear paralyze us? Because if we buy into the fear, we're done. We're done. You know how that is when you are in that terror, that fear. It's like you can't even think, you can't even make a decision. But I'm encouraging us to feel the fear and move through it. It's the only way to get to the other side where our freedom truly lies. And this is where choice comes in. And we all have a choice on how we respond to any given situation. So it would appear that for the most part, we are all adapting. I don't know if we're adapting, but there is so much change going on. So I want to introduce our look at the proper use of the potentiality of mind to live without fear, or more accurately, to not let it paralyze us. And so we're going to do right now a brief mental exercise, okay? So I invite you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes. Okay, and imagine that you are sleeping. You begin to dream. In the dream, you are being chased by a ferocious grizzly bear. Even though you are running at top speed, he is gaining on you quickly. And suddenly, you fall and really hurt your leg. And you struggle to get up, but you can, and the bear is almost on top of you now. To make matters worse, a den of lions has heard this ruckus and is now coming at you from the other side. And circling above is a flock of very hungry vultures. Oh my gosh, what are you going to do to save yourself. This is a terrifying situation. Your heart is racing. You can hardly breathe. What are you going to do? It's really pretty simple. Wake up. Wake up. It's a dream. So wake up. In order to feel the fear and personally, spiritually grow anyway, our minds must awaken to that fact that we do have that choice and that there's always another way of responding. We wake up, and you might ask, what are we waking up to? We wake up. What does that mean? Let me just go to Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, who says, the quickest and most effective method to get rid of fear is to get quiet and lift up the whole thought in confidence and faith to something bigger than we are. It is like going from an old dark room into the sunshine and just sitting there, letting the rays of sun penetrate the whole being with warmth and color until the darkness and the dampness are gone. Our minds must wake up to the spiritual truth. This truth, we call this new thought. New thought, ancient wisdom, because spiritual truths do not change. They have been with us as long as man has been able to walk or not walk, just have any kind of mind where you can think. To realize that there is something so much bigger than we could ever imagine. This is a magnificent power, a loving force of energy that we call God, the great I am. The power is always ready to support us and guide us, but we must turn inward and develop our personal relationship with it. If we don't develop that relationship, we won't feel it, we won't know it. And now, more than ever, I encourage all of us to develop a personal relationship with the God of our understanding through turning inward and practice spiritual practices of meditation and prayer. Holmes tells us to awaken our minds to this great I am through prayer. And what he is saying is, lift up the whole thought in confidence and faith. It says in his writing to awaken our minds to it through meditation. And that's what he means when he says to sit there and let the rays of sunshine penetrate our whole being with warmth and color until the darkness and dampness have been lifted. Awaken. And remember that we are spiritual beings made out of the light of divinity. Truly, this light is the truth of who we really are. And it is always more powerful than any darkness. The truth of who we are, the spiritual light of who we are, is more powerful than any perceived or experiencing situation because it is permanently within us. It goes nowhere. The situations always change. Always change. This too shall pass. We talked about that last week. And in here, this is where deep conviction of faith and the oneness of all life will truly guide us. We must believe that the essence of the eternal divine selves are expressing and made out of this divine light, and that we have been created by a loving power. It is an energy. It is a creative energy. And it is vital, really vital for us to know that this love will always dissolve the fear when we can go within and feel that love. It has been given to us. It exists within us. Holmes writes again that in the Living the Science of Mind, to understand that love overcomes both hate and fear is one of the chief requisites of a practitioner. Love does not overcome hate and fear by argument or force, but by some power of transformation, transmutation, and sublimation. Invisible in its essence, but apparent through its act. As the light overcomes the darkness, as the presence of heat causes the room and the atmosphere of the room to warm up and be comfortable, so the radiant presence of love and peace dissipates fear, hatred, and confusion. This is still Ernest Holmes, and a little bit of me thrown in there because I go off. When I read Ernest Holmes, I get so inspired and so energized and so happy that I feel like it's my words too. One mind, God's mind, my mind, your mind now. So it is one mind, right? And this is something else he wrote. I think we all desire to live in a peaceful existence where love is the victor in every case. Love breaks down the iron bars of thought, shatters the wall of material belief, and severs the chain of bondage, which thought has imposed, and sets the captive free. And I think we all want to live in that freedom, a state of freedom. Yes, we will have at times fear. Fear will be in our experiences because we are having this human experience as part of it. It's not in our divine self, but it is in that human self. So I love these words from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He writes, "It was high counsel that I once heard given to a young man. Always do what you are afraid of doing." And that means even in your house. Because what's with you in your house, in your home, where you think you're safe, is the thoughts. And the thoughts are what create the fear. And we go into the future with those thoughts and forget it. And we watch the TV with those minds. And that TV, I can't tell people enough, turn the TV off. You can read the news. I feel like the vibration of the voice from the news is interacting with my vibration, which we're all energy beings, and I would rather just read the words than feel that vibration. So please, if you can, turn off your TV sets. You don't need to keep hearing that. So, as we experience moving through fear, we experience more of God's own brilliance in our life, more joy, more happiness, more peace, more of that love. As we really get in, take a few minutes, get yourself centered in the morning, meditate, allow that divine voice to move through you. This is a God of love that I'm speaking of. In the biology of belief by Bruce Lipton, he writes this: examine how your fears and the ensuing protection behaviors impact your life. What fears are stunting your growth? Where did these fears come from? Are they necessary in your life today? Are they real today? Are they contributing to a full life? If we can control our fears, he writes, we can regain control over our lives. President Franklin D. Roosevelt knew the destructive nature of fear, and he chose his words very carefully. When he told a nation on the grips of the Great Depression and a great World War II, So this isn't new, what's going on. It looks new, but that same kind of mass consciousness, global consciousness, was taking place when he said, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. Really, that was a brilliant statement, simple and true. Letting go of our fears. Moving through them is the first step in creating a more fuller and satisfying life. How could your life look any different, feel any different, be any different? Recognize the fear and move through it anyway, even if that is something of just sitting in that meditation and breathing, just doing breath work. You are taking action. Affirmative prayer, you are taking action. So I'm sure that every one of us has something right now that we are being called to do. Isolation or not isolation. We are still people. I talk to all of these people, and they are creating all kinds of incredible experiences in their lives within their homes. They're using that creative energy that is within each and every one of us. And if we are being called to live in a higher way of being, and yet fear has stopped us in any way, shape, or form, fear of rejection, fear that it won't work out, fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of the pandemic, whatever that fear looks like. Whatever it looks like, any kind of fear about anything or anyone, we need to move through it. I think you get the idea in your mind's eye. What your life would look like without that heaviness of always being in fear. I can't say it enough, bring ourselves to this moment. This is the now moment. It's always the now moment. This is where we focus. We stay single-eyed. We stay rooted and anchored in this eternal now moment. This is where we create. And this is where we choose. We don't choose in the future. We don't choose in the past. We choose in this moment, right here, right now. And so just take a deep breath with me, everybody, because we're going to make a proclamation. I'm going to say it 2 times so you can take this into your own consciousness. I'll say it twice. I, Margaret, do hereby commit, even though I might feel fear, to moving forward into a greater expression of my divine nature anyway. Again, I, fill in your name, do hereby commit, even though I might feel fear, to moving forward into a greater expression of my divine nature anyway. We can do this, folks. We are all in this together. This is a planetary collective consciousness that is going on here. And we are all in it together. Let's be kind to each other. Let's just breathe that love for each other and for ourselves. Be kind and gentle to who we are. And I would like now to move into prayer.